And welcome to another Nothing Like a Good Book. And this one, hey, if you're in business, I want you to really listen to this one. What's your exit strategy? Have you thought about that? Planning your exit from the start as a guide to exit strategy for business owners. Did you look, if you own a business that runs with or without you, or have you created a job for yourself? That's the number one question. And in fact, did you know that 51% of businesses are owned by baby boomers, meaning that over 16 million business owners will soon be passing their businesses on to the next generation? Now, certified exit planning advisor Linda Jensen, she's my special guest here on this episode, and she shares her knowledge on what business owners should know before they decide to exit in her new book, What is Your Exit Strategy? Welcome, Linda.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Well, you say that we need to get our minds straight about what our business actually means to us, emotionally and financially, because selling your business will most likely be the largest liquidity event in your life, and it's really important that you get it right. So you need to change the paradigm of what it means to sell successfully. And selling a business is the make or break point for many companies, and a successful exit will set it up for a prosperous future. So what say you, Linda?
Yeah, Mark, you're exactly right. And in my research, there's really two very disturbing stats. One is that only about 20% of businesses that want to sell are actually selling. So let's say if there's 100 businesses up for sale, Mark, only 20 of them will sell successfully. And another disturbing stat is that 50% of businesses will sell involuntarily. And so when we look at the baby boomers who own about 51% of businesses in the U.S., there could be millions of businesses at risk. In fact, Mark, I start out the book with a story that's local. A 53-year-old business closed a few months ago here in Western Washington. And in this case, the owner was facing cancer for the fifth time. And I think she was just too exhausted. So she didn't have an exit plan. She literally gave her clients away and sold her building. So this 53-year-old business went away. And I'm really concerned. My main motivation in writing the book is I'm concerned that we could have millions of businesses in the U.S. just disappear in the next 10 years or so.
Good Lord. Those statistics are unbelievable. 20 out of 100. I mean, I would have thought, because there's, calls going out all the time from different people. You want to sell your business, this and that. Your book is packed with personal stories, statistics, meaningful advice. It's a must-read for all business owners. But I got to ask you, what inspired you to write? What's your exit strategy, and who is your target audience with this book?
Well, the target audience is business owners. And Mark, I can tell you, I'm determined to get this on the national stage because we have to change these statistics, Mark. So the book, the first half really lays out a lot of the issues, and the second half, a lot of resources available to businesses. And so we've just really got to change these numbers, Mark, so that more businesses will sell successful.
Yeah, well, that's a good cause. What are the biggest challenges, do you think, facing business owners, who are looking to leave their business?
I will tell you this. Your typical business owner, in my opinion, is so busy running their business that they really don't have a plan. And so because they don't have a plan, that's one issue. Another issue is that they consistently overvalue what the business is worth. And if most of their wealth is tied up in the business, they need to unlock that wealth to have a successful retirement, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
It makes sense. And so they consistently overestimate what the business is worth. They really don't have a plan, and they're really not putting any attention into this. And so I think that's why, and they think it's going to be easy too. They really think it's just going to be pretty simple and easy. But, the stats bear out the fact that it isn't.
No, you did right. And there's a lot of causes, a lot of reasons, and a lot of it has to do with, when there's an election on, war, other things going on. People aren't sure what the devil to do, which way to go, spend, expand, sell. But you are right. I mean, can you explain the difference or the significance, really, of the question, do you own a business that runs with or without you?
I will tell you, Mark, I think that is the number one issue for business owners. I mean, we tell a lot of stories in the books, and we tell stories about business owners that just basically can't let go. One, he's 72 years old. He's got a fantastic management team, but he never mentioned it's an R&D company, and he never mentored anybody on the R&D stuff that he's doing himself.
Right.
So that business can't be sold. And then one of the stories in the business in this book is about one of my partners of mine is a case study where this couple wanted to sell. They had a very successful business. They were pulling $5 million a year out of it, but it couldn't be sold because these owners had basically created a job for themselves. They didn't have a business that ran with or without them. And so they got connected with one of my strategic partners, and they helped them grow the business, really develop it so that it would withstand, whether or not they were at the helm. And they sold that business, by the way, for $12 million. So it went from not being able to sell it for $12 million.
Well, there's a classic example, isn't it? I mean, the book is called What is Your Exit Strategy? I gather it's available on Amazon. Where else, Linda?
All the major outlets, Mark.
That's good. I always like to quote critics. Jess Todtfeld is a former TV producer for NBC, ABC, and Fox News, president of Success in Media, Inc., very successful company. He says Jensen combines thoughtful advice with practical strategies. Considering that only 20% of businesses do sell voluntarily, she provides a roadmap for navigating exit planning complexities, ensuring owners get all they deserve when the sale comes. This is a fabulous book, to be able to give away as a gift to perhaps dad who's in business, an uncle who's got a business. In fact, anybody you know, so many people are in small to medium businesses, and I would imagine they'd also be heavy targets on this because the book itself is What is Your Exit Strategy? I mean, it begins by highlighting the problem. Many business owners do not have the right mindset or plan in place when it comes to selling their business. Therefore, their communities and employees also suffer. People forget about that. With a plan in place, business owners can be prepared for the 5 Ds. All right, what are the 5 Ds, Linda?
Well, the first one's divorce. Let's say a couple has created their business and they're going to get divorced. In fact, we have a terrible story in there about a husband and wife with just that, Mark. And so, and the wife was really an integral part of the business. So the husband, so here they had this terrible situation where, the husband wanted to basically buy her out, but she was really important. So, it's horrible enough to go through a divorce, isn't it, Mark? Let alone having that added dimension.
I personally haven't, but I've seen enough of it. And that's
why
my God. I've never married till I was very old, because I didn't want a divorce. I couldn't stand it. Breakups were enough with girlfriends. But here's the deal. You work your butt off together in building a business, and I can see a lot of complications if there is a divorce.
Oh, my God.
So that's what you're on about. Now, what's another one? That's 1D.
That's 1D. Another one is disagreement. So one of the stories in the book is about actually my publisher who had a partner and she wanted to create a publishing company. She realized this guy was a shark, by the way. And it turned out that he wanted to use his business for cash flow because he made some bad investments. And that didn't end well either, by the way. He wanted to have the company. He didn't deserve it. And then another one is disability. Right?
Oh.
So we have stories in there about somebody who becomes disabled. If you have a stroke and you're not dead, then that's a problem, isn't it? If you're running the business, or duress, like you have the 2008, crash that led to the Great Recession, or COVID, or death. I mean, every one of the folks that we interviewed, every one of these experts had stories about where they're trying to help a business sell and the owner drops dead.
Yeah, well, there you go. You never know what's going to happen, right? You've got to allow for the unknown, of course.
Yeah.
And distress, I would imagine. Am I guessing right? A D?
A D is distress. So like COVID, a lawsuit, 2008, things like that. And see, Mark, those 5 Ds account for the 50% of businesses that close involuntarily.
Really? Those 5 Ds?
Yes.
We're talking, folks, divorce, disagreement, disability, distress, and death. They're the big 5 Ds. 50%, Linda. That's
50%
massive.
of businesses that end up selling or closing sell because of those 5 Ds, Mark.
Good Lord. Now, I would imagine for you to write this book, you've done a massive amount of interviews to get these facts and figures.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. So I'm an exit planning advisor, and 4 of the faculty actually contributed a lot of stories, and they were very helpful. So therefore, they teach as part of the faculty to train folks like me to get their certified exit planning advisor designation. Also, I interviewed M&A guys. I know a business broker, a CPA, and then really what's at the heart of this to help a business be successful, Mark, is something called value acceleration that was developed by the Exit Planning Institute. And so there's 2 important parts to that. One is a formal valuation of the company, and the other is to peg that company to best in class. Okay. And so the idea is to move that company, and I will tell you, that can add millions of value to the company when it's finally sold, is to work toward getting that company from where they are to a best in class in their industry.
Wow. You know what? The penny just dropped for me, Linda. You're a great speaker. And now if you can get this book published, which it is, and it's going to be a winner, now you're set up to go around the country and secure thousands of businesses.
Yeah. Well, and I will tell you, there's a chapter devoted just to value acceleration. I really believe, Mark, that just about any business can benefit from that process.
So what types of people did you consult for the stories shared in your book? Give us an idea.
Like I said, the faculty, M&A guys, mergers and acquisitions, the CPA, and several folks that work in the value acceleration methodology space.
So to my listeners who are business guys, right? How can business owners and ladies for that matter, sorry, ladies, I didn't mean to leave you out, but how can business owners ensure that they get the most value when selling their business?
Well, I would recommend they check out the book and learn about value acceleration. I'd also recommend, if they want to sell, that they realize selling a business is a team sport. They can engage a certified exit planning advisor and put together a team. Everybody wants to be in control, don't we, Mark?
Well, you've got to have a team for this, because how would a business owner 100% know unless his CBA helps him prepare all the paperwork and everything else that's involved? But they probably forgot a few things.
Oh, yeah. The team can be, for smaller or larger, depending on, that transaction and the type of business and their industry. But you see, the owner has to realize they don't give up control if they create a team. In fact, I think they have more control, Mark, because they're going to be able to have more control in their destiny. And so there's another chapter in the book about the importance of having a team and all the different players that can be in that team. And so I really think that's something that business owners don't think, because remember, the buyer is going to have their team.
That's correct.
And they're really going to be scrutinizing your business. Most business owners, myself included, we tend to run some things maybe through the business for personal expenses. And believe me, those new buyers don't want to hear your stories.
Yeah, exactly right, Linda. Yeah, but you know what? It's very much like real estate. You need a team in that as well. Now,
exactly.
John Kelly, good friend of mine, Detroit Free Press, he's always honest. He says, Linda Jensen, she's covered all the bases in this rich and thoughtful analysis of how to develop the best and most effective exit strategy to selling a business. Along with a team of talented experts and advisors, Jensen delivers the goods and offers quality advice. You like that one?
That's fantastic, Mark.
You deserve it. It's a darn good book. Now, what was I going to ask you? Oh, share another personal story from the book that highlights the importance of having an exit strategy.
Well, I'm going to share 2 sides of the coin. First of all, I'm going to share the bad side. So there's a story in the book about an RV park, and they're kind of like a campground on steroids, right?
Yep.
And so here's a guy in his mid-80s, by the way, and he built it from 25 stalls to over 200, including a store and all this stuff that he did. And he's so proud of this, Mark. He can't let go. So he never involved his kids. The grandkids don't want to help him because they've watched what mom and dad have suffered with. So, sometimes things can knock, and here's a business in his 80s, right? I don't know how that one is going to end, to be very honest. And then, but one of my favorite stories in the book is about a family farm. And this family farm is doing it right. They've passed this business on to the next generation for the last 100+ years. So in the next generation, about their mid-30s, they start to get them involved.
Right.
And they start to get them to take the leadership and to innovate and actually make changes. Nobody likes change, but I'll tell you what, it's a good idea. I look at technology as a tool, right? And so they got the younger generation involved, the older generation, they still all live on the farm. The older generation is still driving the tractors, playing with the grandkids. I love that story.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, with the farms now, the kids aren't staying on,
Yeah, a lot of them aren't. Yeah. And, what do you do? What do you do with a very successful business, Mark, where, the kids don't want it? So one's a lawyer, one's a CPA, so you're going to have to. Then one of my favorite things in the book, by the way, is selling your business to your employees. Mark, you're not going to believe this. If you set up an ESOP and you sell your business to your employees, your business becomes tax-free. You don't pay taxes on any state or federal taxes. And when you sell it, you don't pay capital gains taxes. And by the way, you get a lot more money because not only because you don't pay capital gains tax, but you're getting interest on the loan. You're still getting your salary. You're still getting bonuses. So that doesn't work. That doesn't work, by the way, if somebody just wants to cash out. They've had it with the business. They just want to leave. That's a different strategy. Mm-hmm. That's a PE company, a family office, or a strategic buyer. Mm-hmm. But if you've got maybe 6 years or more, you can stretch out to 20, and you want to sell to your employees. I mean, I was just on the phone with my ESOP guy, and he has a business worth $10 million. Guess what? The owner's going to get $22 million. Do you believe that?
Wow.
On the sale of the business, selling it to the employees.
Okay, so that's in the book too?
Yes, sir.
Oh, fabulous.
There's a chapter on internal sales, and I included a little bit in the tax chapter.
Right.
But yeah, and I think, I will tell you, I've attended classes talking about ESOPs, and until I met Bragg, I didn't know about the tax consequences. In fact, a few months ago, I was at an Exaplanning Seattle chapter meeting, and it was all about ESOPs, and two of the panel were CPAs that never talked about the tax benefits.
Wow. I mean, that's worth getting the book alone just for that. I was watching 60 Minutes the other night, and there was a story about the guy who, shared the business with the corporation. There's a little bit different with the employees, but if you sell it to them, there's a lot in that. We haven't got a lot of time left, but I want to get some things out. Common mistakes business owners make when planning their exit. Do a few stand out?
Well, I think they assume it's going to be easy. That's part of it, right? Mm-hmm. They don't understand that they need a team. And I think the business owner, to be honest, Mark, is just so darn busy running their business that they're not even putting that's why I want this book out there, to create some awareness with the businesses so they understand the problems, but they also understand there's a tremendous amount of resources. By the way, my main partner in Value Acceleration, they've got 500 business clients. They just acquired another company, has another 250. Guess this, Mark. Last year, their average client's revenue went up 43% and their profit 65%.
Wow.
I like those numbers, Mark.
Yeah, well, you're a numbers girl. There's no doubt about it,
Yeah, I am. I'm kind of one of those geeky people.
Yeah, well, when you think about it, you contributed to the book on transformation. You have the book on gratitude and the book on abundance. You've contributed to all of those, but you've been in practice as a financial services and insurance professional way back since, 1997?
No, I've actually been licensed since 94. I've been teaching classes since 97.
Since 97, right.
Yeah, I'm basically an educator at heart, Mark. I honestly believe the average person or business owner doesn't know what questions to ask. They don't know what options they have. Right. And that's my role, is to provide those options for them so they can make informed decisions based on facts.
Well, you're not just an author for first book with guesses and doing a few research. You've lived it. You walk the talk, you talk the walk, which way it is. But Linda R. Jensen is the author of What is Your Exit Strategy? She's a CEPA, CFF, CLU, CHFC, and LUTCF. And then she's a CLTC, CSA, and a CFED. Stone the crows. We wouldn't have time to go back on all of those and tell me, but it tells me you're highly educated in this world. So,
well, Mark, listen, I believe I've taken 35 exams in my career, and I really believe the more I know, just the more I can help somebody else.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to do with this book. That's fabulous. So, did your career as a financial advisor, did it influence this book, do you think?
Absolutely. My favorite class to teach is taxes. And so about a year ago, I decided to create a website and really highlight for business owners tax strategies. And the whole idea is to make them more profitable and increase the valuation and the multiple in the event of a sale.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I became aware of these stats, Mark, I just had to do something.
Well, why did you think it was important to not make a how-to book?
Well, I will tell you, there's a lot of them out there. I think if they worked, these statistics would be a lot better. So the reason I wanted to tell a lot of stories was really to engage that business owner, because hopefully when they read it, it'll make more sense to them and they will relate to the stories, Mark.
Yeah, well, there you go. And a little bit more about her background. Folks, she's on the site, markbishopmedia.com. You'll be able to see her lovely photo, read all about her bio, how qualified she is. And it's there all the time. And, of course, this goes out on all the podcast top platforms, Spotify and Apple and so on. And it's also on social media, LinkedIn and the works. The book is titled, What is Your Exit Strategy? Maximize Your Business Mindset. That's the key. Minimize the minefields. I like that. Linda Jensen, Certified Exit Planning Advisor. She earned the credentials of Chartered Financial Consultant and Chartered Life Underwriter. And she is a Certified Financial Fiduciary. You know, they're the ones that know funny business. Wealth Management for Individuals and Business Owners. And Certified Financial Educator. And SOFA, Financial Literacy Instructor. You're a clever girl, aren't you?
Well, I'm a lifelong learner, Mark.
Your goals, in closing, Linda, with this book, the key piece of advice that you'd like to give to business owners, and what would you like to see happen with this book's success and what it does for you? And I think your company is Heart Financial Group. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to see happen from this?
You know, I just really want to get an awareness of business owners on these issues that could impact them, and recognize that there's a lot of resources that they can tap into. And Mark, we've got to change these stats where we don't have 20% of businesses only 20%, 2 out of 10 that can sell, or 50% of them basically selling or closing involuntarily. That's my motivation, is to change those numbers.
Yeah, that's not good, is it? 20 out of 100 to sell. That's something wrong with all of that. The packaging, the setup, the instructions, people don't know what they're doing. That's ridiculous. And you will change these numbers. I'd like you to revisit me in a year from now and tell me what the new ones are.
Oh, I would love that, Mark.
All
yeah,
right. That's
I would
fabulous.
love that.
What a lovely book. I'm looking forward to reading it. What is your exit strategy, guys, ladies? You're in business. You're driving now, and stay on the road. I know you nearly swerved off because you haven't thought of one, have you? Maximize your business mindset. Wonderful book. Linda Jensen, ladies and gentlemen. And look out for it. It's, it's Hugo House Publishers brought it out. It's on Amazon, no doubt, Linda. And I guess all other good places you can buy a book.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I wish you all the best. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome.